Obviously disappointed with the outcome. Not how we wanted to send the seniors out on senior night. Um, Love the way we came out defensively early and got some stops. Love the fact that we were able to get in the end zone and go up and go up, 10-7. But beyond that, not much happened. That was very positive. We turned the ball over too much. We haven't put the ball on the ground much this year. We've thrown some picks, but had not put the ball on the ground a lot. And to have two on the ground today, you can't have that. And clearly we struggle to stop the run defensively. So we got a short week to get ready for New Mexico. We still have an opportunity to go to a bowl game, which will be huge for this group considering all that we've dealt with in the offseason, the schedule that we've played. But tonight, disappointed with how we played. We've got to get better in terms of protecting the football. We've got to get better against the run defensively, and we got to be able to cover bodies up and run the ball more effectively against really good fronts and protect the quarterback when we need to push the ball downfield. So we got a lot of work to do, and we're going to keep doing that. We're going to keep attacking those problems. What questions do you have?
Just about the nature of the injuries to McKay, Hillstead, Cooper LaCombe, what happened there with both?
Koopa's a shoulder, could not come back. Hopefully he can recover quickly. I don't know to what degree, but could not have gone back and thrown the ball effectively and used that throwing arm. McKay was the ankle, same ankle that we've dealt with in the past, got rolled up yet again. We had guys all across the field going down tonight. It was a physical game, and it seemed like every time you turn around, somebody else was going down. All three running backs had issues and several guys on defense. So short week, it's going to be critical to trying to get guys back as healthy as we can because we absolutely want to be bowl eligible by the end of the week.
Was there anything in particular that led to that turnaround? You were going from 10 up to 14 to 10? Or just
Turnovers kill you. I mean, we put the ball on the ground, we run a good play, we get a 6-yard gain ball on the ground, and we end up we had another fumble. And then I think little by little their run game started picking up and started becoming more and more explosive as the night went on. So without remembering exactly play by play, I just know we had a turnover we can't have, backed up, and they scored quickly. And at that point we struggled, I think, to move the ball very effectively most of the night. I mean, that's a rough night for us.
With it being senior night, I remember last year you guys won senior night 2 years ago, didn't it? I'm wondering, kind of as you think about it, is there an emotional or mental aspect that comes into nights like this, the last night for the seniors?
Well, there's definitely an emotional aspect to the game, and these guys will remember their last game at home. The nature of this league is you're going to play good folks every week, and when you've got a really, really good opponent coming in, there's no guarantees that you're gonna come out with a win. You got to play your best ball. We didn't. So I hate that for our seniors. It's a really good group. It's a small group that have, if you go back and really look, contributed a ton of things to this program. And some of those guys helped us win a championship a couple of years ago. Some of them have come in, since then. And you look at a guy like MJ Tavisi and just what he's done and the injuries he's played through, and Mike, you'd love to win it for him. You also knew this was going to be a tremendous challenge. We had no delusions about physically what we were going to be up against. Man, we knew this was going to be a battle. It was going to be we're going to have to play our best ball, and thought we had a chance to do that early, and then just kind of fell apart from that point forward. But I hate that for our seniors. And yes, there's an emotional aspect to it that it's hard to overlook.
First quarter, you mentioned you guys stopped the run pretty well. They 21 yards. Second quarter, they rushed for 200.
Yeah.
Was there any thought to putting more guys in the box? Was there any adjustments that they made that allowed them to go to run the ball?
To be truthful, I couldn't tell you. Just quick conversations with Joe, but mainly, schematically, you'd have to ask him. We knew you had to stop the run, and that there's a really well-built O-line with a quarterback that's a problem, and regardless of what running back they put on the field, they're all really good players. I think we had ways to change the tempo up and blitz them. We had ways to play coverage, and I would say he probably exhausted every ounce of his call sheet to try to find ways to get stops, and we We didn't. We got manhandled. We got manhandled on both fronts. Our O-line got manhandled, and our defensive front got manhandled. And that's the nature of the night. And we got to close the gap somehow. We got to recruit and got to develop and get better in those areas because we keep having the same conversation. And in a game like tonight, with a team that's built the way they are, it's even more visible, unfortunately.
What's your message to the team after the game?
That kind of what I just told you. Remember what it feels like right now to come out of a game where you feel like doesn't matter what we call right now, we're not having success. We're getting manhandled. Remember what it feels like because you close the gap in the offseason. You close the gap by, the weight room, by nutrition, by doing exactly what's asked of you, by really understanding just how physical and hard and how much work we have to have in spring and summer. It's easy when you get to June to forget what it felt like to get your ass kicked. Don't forget about what it feels like right now. Don't forget what it felt like at San Jose when you feel helpless because you're not winning those battles. And there's no easy shortcut to get to that point. It takes a lot of hard work, and every dude in the building's got to be bought into that. We need to recruit to help that, but we need to develop to help that too. And that's the tough reality of it is. Also that we're lucky to be in a position where a week from now we could be sitting here talking about what bowl we're going to, and which would be great considering 40 new guys on the roster and a really, really difficult schedule. There's a bunch of really difficult teams that we played this year with a bunch of very inexperienced guys. So I know nobody starts out the season wanting to be 6-6, but I could have told you at the beginning of the season with our roster and our schedule that 6-6 is a pretty dang good accomplishment. We want to be better, and we will, but that would be a huge step in the right direction for this group. Earn another one, and hopefully they will take that to heart, and we'll work our tails off and get there. That's a really long answer for a short question. Sorry, guys.
In this short week, what do you need to see from the guys to
Honestly, truthfully, just what I've seen all year. I mean, what we've done during the week is really not reflective of how we played tonight. We got our asses handled. They're just physically better than us tonight, and they didn't make a lot of mistakes, and we did. But I would tell you this week was phenomenal. We've had great work on a daily basis. Guys have gotten better. Guys have grown up, but we've got to close that gap. That physicality gap right now is our biggest issue. We're good in the back end at times. We can run by and get ourselves open, but we got to protect. We got to be able to move the pocket. We got to be able to run. We got to be able to stop the run. So, I just need to see guys continue to work. This is not a 1 week or 1 day fix. This is a grind of fixing it in the off season through recruiting, through nutrition, through development, through buy-in, and I just need to continue to see that. That is not the issue. We got to bridge that physical gap. We got to find good answers there through those areas. Those are the only ways we can attack it. But and the attitudes and the culture in the locker room is what's giving us a chance right now. That's the best thing we got going. A bunch of great dudes that work their tails off.
So how important is it to keep guys around to close that gap of physicality?
No, it's huge. We got to retain this roster. We do. We got to retain this roster. We can't lose 9 starters again in the offseason. We can't. We're going to graduate a group. We know that. We got to retain this roster. I think we've taken good steps towards that. Again, I've had phenomenal conversations with a lot of guys that indicate they're staying put. I'm hoping that as we get closer towards December 4th, you'll hear more and more of the guys talk about staying. But we're all dealing with the same challenges right now, and I know we've got buy-in and commitment from Diana and our president. The collective is not not at a point where it's buying players, but we're making our guys understand that we appreciate them being here and staying here, and the steps she's taken in nutrition and the things we're trying to do off the field to make sure our guys know we are all in. We're taking every step we can so we don't have to go through this every year. And I'm hoping that we're able to get through this transition of the off season with very little attrition. That would be ideal.
With the nature of college football changing, have you started to look elsewhere as far as transfer portal type teams?
Well, the portal's not open yet. We're recruiting like crazy through the junior college ranks. We've got a handful of high school guys already committed that we love here in the state. We're working the problem. The hard part is you take a bunch of seniors that graduate and you take some starters that get yanked away. You replace those in our situation typically with guys that are starting to play their first snaps, and so that learning curve is not real quick. If we can retain the roster and build on top of what we have, that's our best way to be competitive, next year. So we're having different conversations, but when the portal does open, you attack it when it does, when names go in it, that guys that maybe potentially can help you. But right now we're grinding it at the high school and junior college guys daily. We got 8 guys on campus for official visits this weekend. It never really stops. But you got to attack the problem from both ends. We got to retain our roster, and then we got to go attack it in recruiting, and then we got to develop like crazy.
I noticed that you had some pretty explosive plays. Jalen Rose had that 57-yard touchdown. I'm just kind of wondering your thoughts on how, if you think that there's a way that we can get more explosive plays, or that it's more just about consistency, like just getting 3-4 yards.
Well, some of both. Best way to be explosive is to be efficient and stay ahead of the chains. Ultimately, we felt like that if there was a mismatch on the field, it was our wideouts against their DBs, and I think we're going to go back and watch the tape and find out we had some guys running clean, but we couldn't protect well enough to really get the ball downfield where we wanted to, and we didn't run the ball effectively enough to stay ahead of the chain, so we kind of played into their game plan. That's been a conversation we've had a couple times throughout the course of the year, and unfortunately, it was one we had tonight. So we got to get better up there. We got to develop. We got to recruit. We got to get better up there. Defensive lines in this league are too good to struggle up front. That's a place we've got to improve in every aspect. Anything else? Appreciate it.
How hard is it to have a game like that where it seemed like you were being pretty successful catching the football, but the result just doesn't turn out at all the way you wanted it to?
It's a little frustrating, but over time you just gotta keep adjusting and keep fighting, and if it doesn't go your way, then you just gotta keep going and just control what you can control. So that's really it.
So you guys were able to have a decent amount of success, at least for a couple of straight possessions, but like the rest of the game, you guys just struggled to move the ball down the field. Was there any one area where you guys were struggling more? Or was it just kind of everything stopped going your guys' way?
It was probably as a whole. We had 2 fumbles, a pick, in the red zone, and just couldn't move the chains. So, that's a big part, of offense, and we just gotta, get past the chains, get the first down of every series, and keep the chains moving.
What does a game like this feel like?
It sucks, of course. You're losing, and we had a game. I thought we, could have played better, but it is what it is.
So what are you taking into next week? It's obviously an important game with bowl eligibility. What do you think from this to the next?
It's a very important game. We have 5 wins, get that 6th win to, be bowl eligible and then play in the bowl game. So, we're taking it really serious. I am too. So, it's pretty big.
I guess I got to ask about that touchdown at the start. That's a bright moment. They said you lead the NCAA in 50+ yard touchdown receptions. Is there any bright moments from that you can take with your individual performance into this next week?
Oh yeah, for sure. Just keep making plays and just helping the team out as much as I can. So
you guys started out stopping their run game pretty well, then they kind of exploded in that second quarter. I guess what was kind of the main thing you guys were struggling with after that first quarter where you guys had played so well?
They had a great offense. They got a great O-line, great running back room. We knew that they were going to be they were going to do their thing. So just making sure that we did our thing was kind of like the big deal.
What's the mentality in practice this week as you go into next week's game?
The mentality is go 1-0 and stay together. Just making sure that we're prepared to get the dub so we can get bowl eligible.
How much does that bowl eligibility mean to you guys? Kind of just the primary goal at this point is focusing on obviously 1-0, but 1-0 also means bowl eligibility for you guys.
Yeah, it's definitely super important. Just getting another game potentially after this game.
Coach Anderson talked a little bit about the physicality, especially the physicality gap between Boise State and the team tonight. Did you feel that on the field? What was that like to be out there and feel really frustrated with everything you were doing, just not really working?
Coming in, we knew that this was going to be a super physical game, and we knew that we were going to have to be physical, and that we knew that they were going to come in and be physical. So the whole week preaching that be more physical and match their physicality was a big thing.
One thing I was curious on, the Boise had a part where they scored like 14 points in like 30 seconds. It didn't really go your guys' way, but I'm kind of curious on like how you and the offense kind of communicate or feel about that. If it's stuff that you guys as a defense need to work on, or if offense, or maybe both just not putting yourselves in tough situations.
I would say both offense and defense, we got each other's back. If something's not going one side of the ball's way, we got each other's back, and we gonna fight for each other to the end.
So, David, you guys really did a good job against them on the first 4 possessions, and they busted up the 75-yarder. Do you think you feel you got worn out a little bit out there as a defense? What do you think? What changed? What do you think changed?
They just have a great offense, and we knew that they were going to make plays, and we were going to have to make plays as well, and that's just what it would come down to.